I didn't have any audio going to the stream because I forgot to turn on the compressor because there's an analog pipeline going there. So now there will be audio.
Excellent.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Anyway, got any news?
Do I have a news? It's
I
not
got
really
news.
a news. It's more of like an information that was discovered and is quite fascinating, right? So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the American TV show from, I don't know, did it start in the late 80s or was it just early 90s?
I want to
like-
say it was late 80s, but because I remember the era when I was really into TMNT.
I don't know the exact year it started. It was definitely in that zone. Anyway, so the pilot episode was like a 5-part like epic kind of thing that I remember being worth watching even for an adult. Of course, that's kid brain remembering with adult analyzation. Regardless, there was an interview with one of the writers for that pilot, and he said, yeah, usually when they would, all these
Comic was 1984.
well, I know that.
Yeah.
But the usually a lot of those shows from that era, like a Thundercats, not Voltron.
87.
Voltron all right, Voltron was originally Go Lion, right? So it wasn't Voltron, but the ones that were clearly American shows like Thundercats and Ninja Turtles. But they were animated by Japanese studios because they outsourced it, right? The animation to them, but the writing and all the other stuff was done in the U.S., right? So still an American show. They just didn't use American animators, right? So Ninja Turtles was one of those. Toei animated it. And usually when this happened, because, it was for TV, it was a lot of episodes, it was for syndication, they wouldn't put the A-team at the Japanese studio, right? They wouldn't have the same people who are animating, like, what was a really big anime, like, from the early 90s, like Utena.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't have the, not that was that animated that well.
Well, it was animated really well considering its budget.
Sure, yeah. But the point is, they wouldn't put the people animating who could the best animators on the American Ninja Turtle show. They would put the B team on it. But
Yeah.
apparently, for some reason, according to this interview with the writer, only the pilot episodes, the 5-episode series of the Ninja Turtles cartoon was animated by the A-team at Toei. And he could not remember the animator's name, the director of it, but he remembered that the person moved to L.A. in the early 2000s. They went to dinner with them, and that the person directed a bunch of Sailor Moon after season 1. This description only describes one infamous person.
Kunihiko Ikuhara.
So,
Oh.
Now I really want to go back and see how many naked cars
Yup.
are in the first 5 episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's kind of like when you go back and watch the pilot of BTAS and you're like, wait, this just looks like anime. Like, 100%.
Hey, Big O and Batman both start with B.
This is kind of crazy, actually. Just like, it's interesting.
It's like a fascinating trivia that no one knew except this one guy, and now everyone who cares knows, which is almost nobody.
What's funny is I imagine this one guy, it's one of those situations where they're like, oh yeah, I worked with this guy once, and they don't really quite realize that to a limited number of people in the rest of the world, the name of that person is a really goddamn big deal. And like,
It's one nut job.
yep. We got to watch the Kappa show so we can talk about it.
Oh boy.
I watched a little bit.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Literally.
Both allegorically, literally, and literally in a different way because it's Ikuhara. The butts are also cars, and the prostate is an adolescent's metaphor and also literally the prostate. So, in some other news, if you might have not noticed, Pokemon Detective Pikachu did come out, and the initial reviews from the people I would trust
I
are
saw
that,
the trailer when the trailer was before something.
yeah, it looked like it had a potential to be really
What
good.
did I go to the theater for? They had the trailer for this.
Us.
No, it wasn't us. It was whatever I saw in the theater before us.
But
I think it was when we went to see like either Night.
Night on the what?
No. Night is long.
Walk on, girl.
Yeah, one of the.
I don't think it was that.
It was. What was the one other one we saw that wasn't as good?
I mean, we just went and saw some other anime. You don't remember? Oh, that doesn't matter. Anyway, the trailer looked good, and while some people weirdly don't like the direction that this franchise was going to go. I was really into it, and our friends who like Pokemon to the appropriate level of liking Pokemon have said that it is in fact fantastic and definitely worth watching.
I mean, the trailer seemed like it wasn't one of those trailers where I went like, eh.
And it wasn't like the Sonic one.
By
where
the way, my reaction to most trailers is
yeah, and it wasn't like Sonic
It
where
was
I
like,
looked at it and
it
thought,
was
wow.
like my reaction to the trailer was like, oh, I see what you did there. Maybe I'll watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, still my reaction.
Like, I don't know if I'll bother going to see it in the theater, but I will definitely see it.
To be honest, I was considering going to the theater to see it during all these rainy days we had.
Yep.
The main deterrent was nothing about the movie itself. It was simply that I knew if I went to the theater, it would be full of annoying kids.
Yeah, true.
If I could,
That's why I feel like if I see it in the theater, I'm going to see it
knew-
in the theater after, like, near the end of the run.
if I knew that going to the theater there would only be 30-year-old nerds there who had played Pokemon in the 90s, then I would have just gone probably on one of those rainy days.
All I want to say, I'm going to read a quote from Wikipedia because this is why I want to see the movie. Quote, Tim and Pikachu interrogate a Mr. Mime who directs them to an illegal underground fighting arena. That is the kind of sentence that I want to hear before I go see a movie like this.
I mean, also, I got to say, the fact that, forget the Pokemon part, right? The fact that it is a live-action animation combination plus detective story.
yeah, Roger Rabbit
like-
is one of the greatest movies ever
It
made.
feels like it's like at least 50% of this movie is just Roger Rabbit homage with a Pokemon skin on it instead.
Roger Rabbit, I could watch anytime.
You
It's on
could
that
have,
list.
like, they could have just taken some script from Roger Rabbit 2, replaced all the characters of the Pokemon, and you wouldn't even fucking know,
Yep, and you know what? I'd be fine with that.
right? I guess it's I have not having seen the movie, but I mean, that definitely it seems like there's too many major factors in common for it to be merely coincidence.
Yep. So, in another news, you may have seen this, and I really got it. It's related to animation because it seems like the instigating incident was specifically the Adobe Animate software. So you might have
Oh,
heard.
really? I thought it was just Photoshop people's. And,
No, so it's two separate things.
Okay.
The Photoshop people are mad that the price to subscribe to just Photoshop went up.
So the lowest price was for the photo package, which includes only Lightroom and Photoshop and nothing else.
Yep.
And what I read, it could be wrong, but what I read is that the price didn't actually go up. Just the storage on the default package was increased, so that if you go to the website, it'll say $20 a month instead of $10 like it used to. But you could still have the option of choosing less cloud storage and still get it for the old price.
Yeah,
Is that true or not true?
I'm not sure because why would anyone pay for just Photoshop when for a little bit more money you get the entire Adobe
Well,
world?
that's still well. I mean, 100. You know, if you're paying for just Photoshop and Lightroom because all you do is photos, you don't.
True,
The
true.
only reason I actually pay the 50 instead of the 20 is because I use Premiere.
Yep.
If I never made a video, I would pay the 20.
I mean, I use
because I
Premiere.
use Lightroom the most and Photoshop the second most.
I
and
use-
Premiere the third most.
I use regularly
well, I use
Photoshop.
Adobe Media Encoder also.
I use Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere, After Effects, InDesign, Adobe PDF. Like the
Also,
actual
I
PDF.
use the mobile stuff in the cloud storage because
Yep.
I have an iPad Pro. So there's
Yep.
a lot of stuff I can do there.
But I didn't. So yeah, there may be a misunderstanding there, but this one's even funnier. So the story going around is that Adobe is threatening to sue you. If
Oh,
you
this is
use-
a separate simultaneous story.
Yes, but
Yeah.
this is the one that's making the most rounds that people are the most mad about. And people clearly did not fucking read this article.
Yep.
Any of the articles about it. The story is Adobe's going around threatening to sue you if you run the old versions of the software.
Not true.
Yeah. So one,
Is there a Snopes that's like not true?
nah. So here's the deal.
Maybe there
one,
should be.
this has nothing to do with if you licensed pre-creative cloud software. Like, I have a license to CS4, like Production Premium. I can fucking install that on computers if I want to. That's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the old software that you licensed, in fact, I have a bunch of Audition licenses too, you can just use it.
Yep.
That's old shitty software.
I actually have an Adobe Premiere Elements license from
Ooh.
the early 2000s.
Dude, you know,
I
Premiere-
have the CD-ROM somewhere too.
Premiere Elements is the kind of thing you would punish someone with by forcing them to use it.
Yeah, I didn't make too many videos with it.
Premiere Elements was
It's
such
a good thing it was cheap because
Yeah.
otherwise I would regret buying.
unusable garbage.
It was bad even when it was new. I
So-
bought it when it was brand new.
That is not true. You can continue to use your old software. This only applies to Creative Cloud Adobe software. And the deal is, Adobe will force you to use, and has for a long time, either the current version of whatever software. Like if you're on Photoshop, you can either have the current version running or the previous version running.
Yeah, a lot of times, like when Adobe releases new Creative Cloud versions, sometimes when I open up Creative Cloud, it's just like, yeah, updating Lightroom now. But sometimes it'll be like, all right, Lightroom CC 2018, and guess what? Here's Lightroom CC 2019 with an install button next to it.
And your options are either...
Right, so you can switch, but 2017 will be gone, right?
Yep.
And then you install 2019 and switch over eventually at some point, and then at some point 2018 goes away and then 2020 shows up. And, sometimes they do it like that to where you could, because it's such a big upgrade, you switch on your own.
Yep.
And sometimes it just updates like Chrome updates. You don't even notice.
Yep. So that's fine. Like, that's really reasonable, and that's what I would expect. A bunch of people who, for probably dumb reasons, want to use really old versions of Creative Cloud software have been, like, not letting the software update by various means.
Right, so they're paying the monthly cost.
But they're just using, like...
But they're never clicking the update button. They're just keeping the version that they have of whatever it is and never clicking on the free update that they're paying for. Not only neglecting to get new features, right? They're probably mostly concerned about the user interface changing, which it will probably, right? And other things like that. But they're also neglecting to get new features and neglecting to get new bug fixes and neglecting to get new security updates that they are paying for and would get effectively for free just by clicking OK. Because I guess most of my assumption is they don't want the user interface to change slightly in some way and have to learn something.
So, yes, they're not like changing the things that everyone thinks they're changing. And two, they're not threatening to sue anyone for using the old versions. All they did is send an email out saying, look, you're using like Animate 15, which is from like 2015. So Animate now is on like version 19. So these are
Animate used to be Flash, by the way.
Yes. So these people are using Animate 15 or Animate 16 from a long ass time ago, and Dolby is apparently suing Adobe because of some licensing issue where Dolby thinks Adobe isn't paying their fair share. So Adobe, in response, one, just removed that shit from newer versions of their software so it won't be a problem. And two, they warned all the people using this old software refusing to update that, technically Adobe could sue you for using this software because of a licensing dispute. You should upgrade to the current version of Animate. We will help you do it.
It's free. Just click OK. It's been sitting there in your system tray yelling at you probably for 4 years, and you just never clicked OK or you turned it off somehow.
Yep, and even at the bottom, it's like, if you have any difficulties, Adobe's customer support is here to answer any questions.
Yeah, you're paying for it. It's like people hate the subscription service deal, right? But look, you get what you pay for. If you pay $50 a month, you get real customer service. You get free. You get all this shit when you pay that you don't get when you pay a flat $1,000.
So the story of Adobe is threatening to sue me for using my old software that I paid for is complete bullshit. The actual story is a handful of specific Adobe applications put you in danger of being sued by Dolby unless you upgrade to a version that doesn't have this problem, and Adobe is bending over backwards to help you do this so you don't get fucked. It's not even every Creative Cloud software.
Yeah.
So,
this just goes back to the point, assuming that the people are mad because they don't want user interface changes.
Which one is dumb? Two, those people did not even read this email.
Right, but the thing is, it just goes back to the point I always make, in that for some reason, a lot of people would rather do immense amounts of work and labor than learn.
Do you know how hard it would be for me to prevent Audition from updating as opposed to just using it when it updates?
Right? It's like people would rather copy and paste something 100 times than learn a regular expression, right? People would rather...
Well, you know what they say about regular expressions.
I know. People would rather create Node.js than have to learn a different language other than JavaScript, right? People would rather do tons and tons of work to make sure this old-ass Photoshop keeps running on their new computer than just learn the user interface changes or shortcut changes in the newer, better, vastly superior Photoshop with its new features, right? It's like, I see this happen over and over
Yep.
and over again. People just, for some reason, the human brain in a lot of people, not all people, because not me, and
Well,
not
it's like
some
anyone-
people I
like,
know,
think about it. These are
is
the-
just so averse to like education and learning. It just doesn't want to have to learn it. It just views learning even the smallest thing. I don't want to have to learn how to switch gears on my bike. I'd rather stomp on this heavy gear all the way up the hill, right? Why is some human brains so averse to learning that they measure somehow the effort of learning even a small thing or putting any thought into something as greater than this immense amount of labor?
So
I don't
even
understand
funnier,
how this happens.
One of the issues at play might be that newer versions of software don't work that well on Windows 7, and these are the same people who are still running Windows 7.
All right, well,
Which again, same problem.
I think Microsoft does still support Windows 7 to some degree. It's not dead yet.
Yeah, but no one else
Right?
does. Windows 7, don't run Windows 7.
Of course not.
It's 2019.
Of course not.
Windows 7 is ancient.
Well, I'd better run Windows 7 than Windows 8.
Yeah, Windows
But-
8 was a mistake. We all agree.
Just like Windows seems to get it wrong every other deal, right?
Yeah.
Windows 98, Windows Me, Windows 2000. I guess Windows XP was okay.
Yeah, Windows XP was okay.
Yeah.
Windows 2000, I remember when Windows 2000 came out, I
Oh,
bought
right.
it.
Then it was Windows Vista, and then
Yeah.
it was good after that.
I went
don't-
out
I don't
and
remember.
bought Windows 2000 because it was that good. I was like, I'm fucking buying this new operating system.
Yeah,
Because I was previously running Windows 95.
yeah.
I didn't even have 98.
I think I bought Vista Ultimate, which wasn't as bad as they said.
Yeah.
It wasn't Me or 8 bad.
But guys, Windows 10 is great.
Windows
it just
10 is
works.
fine. Yeah,
like,
use
it's
Windows 10.
fine.
You know. You just gotta remove all the garbage, which is still removable.
Yep.
If it wasn't removable, I wouldn't use Windows 10.
Yeah, but what would you use? Linux on the desktop?
I have the WSL too, which we talked about on Monday.
Yeah, but then how are you going to play any game?
Oh man, did you? Oh, no. Anyway,
Anyway, it's time for Things of the Day. See, I probably saw some art on Twitter a while ago that was like creepypasta or like horror interpretations of Garfield.
I've seen lots and lots of remixes of Garfield, and I just still continue to find it fascinating that Garfield is like in this weird, unique space separate from all other. Like, there's nothing else like it where it is reviled. It's unfunny, but it is funny.
But it's funny in this,
but
like,
it's
meta
remixed.
level.
When it's remixed, it's like this amazing like masterpiece of art.
Like Garfield without Garfield.
It's abstract. It's
Garfield without our Garfield is like a height of comic art.
It's Dali, it's Picasso, it's like everything at once. And it's
Garfield is like this perfect deconstruction of late capitalism. Like
I don't know. There's just so much going on with Garfield that is not going on with literally any other comic ever.
So what I'm going to link you to
Like,
is
I swear to God, one day we're going to go to like the Met and there's going to be Garfield just on the wall and we're going to be like, yep. And kids will be like, what the hell is that? And they'll look at it the way we look at like Van Gogh or something.
Yup. So, what I'm going to link to you is probably the height of the expression of the remixing of Garfield that exists today. And it is
I didn't see this before just now, but I can see how elaborate this is.
This is a YouTube video that takes all this concept art of like, what if Garfield was a horror adventure game like Five Nights at Freddy's and or a horror movie like Alien 1? And it turns it into a fake video game that is 13 minutes long.
That is on the Game Boy, but the Game Boy has a 16:9 screen and shows more colors than just green, but has the same range of colors.
I cannot
Is that
express
normal?
to
What
you,
the fuck?
Because Nermal works for the government. Arlene is being held captive in the basement.
Okay.
Like, keep your scent level down. This is fucking amazing.
Whoa.
This is so much like any image from this
Oop.
YouTube video by itself would be like enough for me. This is up my alley.
Who made this? And
Lumpy Touch. It's
how-
got
how-
1.5 million views.
And how is it not Neil Cicerig?
This is similar creative expression to Neil Cicerek's
I don't think
brilliance.
Neil is like a great pixel art artist though. So
No, Neil is just Neil might.
But I would believe it if you told me he wrote this.
You know what I would say? I would believe it if someone said that we looked at Neil Cicerek's brain and he has the largest fusiform gyrus anyone has ever found.
The point is, Lumpy Touch if you can do one more great thing, you will be elevated to an internet legend.
Yeah, this is too good.
Maybe Lumpy Touch has done something else great we don't know about.
Lumpy Touch only has 144,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's a travesty.
That's a lot.
But it's also a travesty.
That's quite a lot. I'm going to subscribe to Lumpy Touch.
Oh my God, like the first comment here is, okay, honestly, when I saw this, I thought you actually made a game.
They could.
I would play this.
I'd hire them to do the art for my game.
Dude, I would hire them to make this into a game.
Anyway,
what do you got?
So here is a gentleman from the fine state of Tennessee.
Sounds like he's from Tennessee.
If you don't know anything about the
No judgment.
If you don't know anything about the United States, Tennessee is not a fine state.
But Tennessee is complicated.
It's not the worst state. Like Nashville is actually on the up.
Yeah, so like Alabama and Mississippi are tied for the worst state because Mississippi sucks. But Alabama just passed just banned abortion just now.
Yeah.
They're
so
neck and neck.
Georgia.
Georgia's bad too.
Pretty much if you go to Florida, right? And you go to the bottom of the Florida and you go up and up and up and up and things get dark and about halfway through Florida, then they get basically pitch black at the top of Florida, right? When you get to the northernmost part of Florida. And then you just go north to the top of Georgia and west and draw a big old rectangle, and that's the place you don't want to go.
Weirdly though, of all things, South Carolina is doing better than North Carolina on a lot of things, which is weird.
That is weird. South Carolina's been way worse than North Carolina.
It has been, but North Carolina's politics are way more corrupt and fucked up.
Anyway,
Tennessee is one of those states that's got a lot of good going on and a lot of bad going on.
All the good is mostly going on in Nashville, which is super A+ upswing. Also, I mean, it's not all positive. It's a lot of gentrification going on there.
Also, bachelorette parties.
Yeah, but Nashville is pretty great, relatively speaking, as far as American cities go. But rest of Tennessee, meh. And here's a fine gentleman from Tennessee. And this gentleman needed some work done on the tires on his vehicle because it's a place where you have to drive.
Yep.
In Tennessee, of course. And, he finds out a place that's offering a free tire. So he calls, Discount Tire.
I've been to Discount Tire. I've gotten a free tire from them before.
He calls them up and, he says, so it's, I guess it must be some kind of deal where buy 3, get 1 or something like that,
Yeah.
And he calls them and he says, and they tell him yeah, we're next to a Taco Bell. We're on this road. So he goes and he drives down the road. He goes... he finds the tire place, and something happens there at the tire place next to the Taco Bell. And he produces this very fine vertical video with his phone explaining the hullabaloo that happens at the Discount Tire next to the Taco Bell.
Yep, the Discount Tire next to the Taco Bell. This is pretty good.
This is A+ video.
What really helps is that he sounds like a stand-up comedian. His delivery of just his explanation of this situation.
Yeah, he's definitely using stand-up comedian voice.
Yep.
It's like a Seinfeld voice. Why is the next
whose idea was? Only
with a Tennessee accent.
Can you explain to me, sir? Why? X. And why?
Anyway.
In the meta moment, GeekNights is a podcast, and we do a bunch of stuff. If you go to our website, you can find out things like, did you know we're doing a book club? In the book club, we're reading the most painful book we have ever read, Pages of Pain.
I just read some painful pages
I just met Carfud.
The
demon.
I just read a whole chapter about limbs getting chopped off, flying every which way.
Yeah, I forgot how many
getting
people
attached and reattached.
Yeah, the reattachment. I remember that explicitly.
That's some fucked up biz.
The reattachment area is where this book. What I can say is that
it's really going on. It was already off the rails. Now you can't even see the rails anymore.
I think you can see though, because the thing that I remembered about this book the most is that most Dungeons and Dragons branded novels are just here is a Dungeons and Dragons kind of story.
Now it's,
A, then B,
it's
then
talking
C.
now about exploding pustules on everyone's body, and
Yep.
I'm like, whoa, that hasn't been mentioned since chapter 1.
Yep. So you take a typical shitty Star Wars book and it's A, then B, then C, then D. This is a nerd fantasy book that's kind of badly written. This book starts as typical fantasy book, A, then B, then trippy shit, then off the rails, then it's just allegory. What even happened?
Yeah.
That is why I remember this book being different from all the other Dungeons and Dragons books, because it turns into some surreal nonsense at the end.
It has been nonsense for a while. It's just even more nonsense.
I want to see this made into a movie.
I don't think you could.
It's kind of like trying to make a culture book into a movie. You read the beginning, you're like,
I can make a culture book into a movie as long as I pick the right one.
Player of Games and maybe Consider Phlebas are the only ones that you could even
Those
make
are the only ones I've read any portion of.
Those are the only ones where anyone other than maybe Jodorowsky.
Consider Phlebas, you can have a sexy pirate, and then you can make an Angry Earth trilogy of movies with the same actor doing the sexy pirate.
Scott, if you ever read Use of Weapons or Surface Detail,
If you can't make a movie out of those,
you know who might be able to or might have been able
it'll
to?
come out like Dune movie.
Jodorowsky is the only one who could have made a movie like that.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, also, GeekNights has officially endorsed in the Democratic primary Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
Because she's the only one who has a plan. Also, because times are dire right now, I just want to remind you, because a bunch of people are talking about how there is evidence that if an online community has an explicit, upfront, like, rules of engagement and terms, like, here is how you should use our community, these are the rules, people actually do behave better. And the GeekNights Forum has very good rules about how our community functions. And the rules basically boil down to no fucking Nazis. Full stop. You cannot be a Nazi here. So if you want a Nazi-free online social community that's chill, the GeekNights Forum is there and you should join it. So, Fruits Basket. I got to take you back to when I ran the RIT Anime Club from around 2001 to around 2005. Because when we were at the RIT Anime Club, an anime came out that was an adaptation of a manga, and that anime was called Fruits Basket.
So I knew Fruits Basket at the time was a shoujo manga.
Yep.
B was ridiculously popular.
Like holy
it is actually,
shit.
From what I heard, it was like one of the best-selling mangas, maybe the best-selling manga, at least at some point, maybe still, that like in the U.S. ever. You can look that up, I guess. And the anime adaptation of it, I knew at the time was somehow flawed or something. Now I have learned a little bit more information about it. And that is, yes, the Fruits Basket manga is still, what it was.
It was like a late 90s to early 2000s manga.
Right. And what exactly people were mad about with the original anime,
which I never watched even one episode of.
Me either.
But
I never watched the anime, any of the anime, or read any of the manga. All I knew about the story was it involved some girl and some Zodiac stuff.
And it was so popular. Oh, well, also, I knew that there's non-threatening boys who turn into animals if they get hugged.
I didn't know that. Until just now.
And I had to often
until just now when I watched it.
I had to know enough about it because running RIT Anime, I had say if the punchline to a joke was Fruits Basket something something, the anime club would lose their shit because it was so popular.
Anyway, so what's wrong with the original anime, from what I've heard from people, is that it ended too soon and did not cover the full, it was faithful to the manga up to a point.
Yep.
And then I guess they got ahead of things or something, and they had to end it too soon. Not only did they end it...
So Scott, a manga ran from 98 to 2006, and that anime ran from 2001 to 2001.
Right. Not only anime end too soon and not cover everything, but also because the anime itself had to have an ending, when they wrapped it up or whatever, they changed something in the story that was significant involving certain characters, such that even if they did pick up with more seasons, it would have been literally impossible for them to continue with the manga's plot because they basically took like a 90-degree turn at some point, right? So that was that.
That's something I didn't know because...
That's what I have been told.
So, Fruits Basket got a new anime.
That this season, literally, just now, they made a new Fruits Basket anime, I assume for some anniversary of Fruits Basket. It is a remastering, HD remake of the old anime, only it is supposedly going to stick to the manga and possibly go through the entire plot of the manga all the way to the end, maybe.
Yep, which...
They could cancel at any time, right? But who knows?
Yeah, but that's interesting because... Having not known about that swerve and having not realized how long Fruits Basket was, what I'd heard so far is that the new anime is just the old anime, exactly.
Well, because the old anime up to the point that we've seen, I've seen, I think, 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 4, because that was all that was on when I watched. That was all that was out when I watched it. Is basically we didn't hit the swerve point yet.
Yep.
So the new anime is the old anime because the old anime was the manga. The new anime is also the manga, and the old anime, we're not at the point where the old anime swerves. So at this only few episodes in, all of them are identical. The new one is just obviously 16:9 and better drawn.
So
and such
what
and
I
such.
don't understand based on what I've watched so far, I mean, there's only like 6
Why it's so
episodes out.
popular?
No. What I don't understand is why is it called Fruits Basket? At what point is there a fruit? At what point is there a basket?
I as the same thing because I like fruits and I'm okay with baskets. Especially if they're cornucopias. I love cornucopias, but I don't know
yeah.
if that counts as a basket, really. Is
No,
a
'cause it's on
cornucopia
its
a
side.
basket? It doesn't have a handle. Does it need a handle to be a basket?
What
Anyway, I
the
love
basket?
fruit. Yeah, there's no fruits or baskets whatsoever anywhere. Fruit, I don't even know if it's like an analogy or a metaphor for something.
I don't think it is. I think it just gave it a fucking random name because
I think
it's
it was
a
just
shoujo
cool
manga.
sounding English name. That's
Fruits
what I think
Basket.
it is.
What's it
Yeah.
about? So it is about a girl. And so before I watched this, all I knew is it's about a girl who is homeless and going to school,
I didn't know that till I watched it.
living in a tent, accidentally meets a bunch of non-threatening boys who turn into zodiac animals if she hugs them.
If
That is the
anyone, if
extent
any
of what I
girl
knew.
hugs them,
That kind of is the plot.
yes, that literally is the plot.
Yep. So this girl, basically like family circumstances because her mom died and her dad
Right, she's
died.
living with grandpa.
And grandpa-
Right? Because basically her family died in some, was it accident, car accident or something?
So dad died of like an illness, and then mom raised her on her own. Get the impression mom meant well and was a good person, but was not educated and might have been a delinquent.
Maybe, I don't know.
But anyway, mom dies, has to live with grandpa. Grandpa,
Right, at the funeral they decide who's going to take her, which
Grandpa's
is
pretty
also
absent.
something that happens in Bunny Drop,
yeah.
where they decide who's going to take, which, the family gets together and decides who's going to take the orphaned child.
Yep. Grandpa like has to leave his house because some renovations are going on. She made a vow to like take care of herself.
Right,
Doesn't
so
have any
grandpa
friends
was
she can
right.
live with.
Grandpa's like, "Hey, I'm renovating the house we're living in. Can you like go find a friend to live with? I have to go live in a tiny place. I can't afford a big place, right? But I own the house. So once the renovations are done, we can move back." So she doesn't find a friend to go live with. She just lives in a tent in the woods
Yep.
and somehow makes it work, kinda.
Well,
For a
it's
short
clear
term?
she's only been living in the tent a little while, and then a
Yes.
landslide immediately destroys the tent
Yep.
because she's just like she doesn't know what she's doing.
No.
So she ends up accidentally moving
He does
in
pretty
with.
good considering before
Yeah.
the landslide. But
I mean,
know.
we got fancy tents. Like I could live out of that tent for
I
a
don't know where
month
she
if I had to.
showers though.
At school, I assume.
I guess.
So she accidentally moves in with all these boys and discovers. I do
Yeah, well, because
appreciate.
unbeknownst to her, the land she put the tent on belongs to this family, and so she encounters them in the woods, and they're like, "What is that person doing in our woods?"
She's
And
like,
one of
"Oh,
them is like-
I live nearby." And
one of them
they're
is-
like,
they're like,
"What?"
"We own all these woods, and there's no houses in it, right?"
Yep. They're like, "What?" She's like, "Gotta
And
go."
one of them is a classmate and knows who she is.
And he's the hot boy in school.
Yeah, so that sort of like, that connection there, and they end up being nice and saying, "We live in this giant old style Japanese house that has sliding doors like a samurai lives here because we're an ancient mystical family.
Yep.
Why don't you come live with us?" And then that's the setup, and then not too much happens after that in the episodes I've seen.
Yep. So the one thing I will say, I'll say the things that I like about the show before we get into how I don't really think I need to watch any more of it, is that one, the secret, she figures it out instantly.
That's good. It's a positive thing.
And there's like, oh shit, I guess she knows we're all magical. Will you keep our secret? Cool. Like all the magic stuff just starts happening immediately.
Right. Well, there's this whole. It's a lot like Utena has the story of like the prince and what's it called?
The duels? Rose Bride?
Princess Tutu.
Oh yeah,
has-
Princess Tutu.
Also has like a fantasy, a fairy tale that sort of
But I like it when a show is like
Right.
right away, like, okay, everything's set up, now
well,
the plot's gonna
Fruits
go.
Basket has the fairy tale story of why is the cat not a member of the Zodiac.
No, true, yeah, that's the long-term mystery.
Right? And there's the one character who transforms into a cat, the really angry dude.
Yep.
Right? Who's sort of like, he's in the family, but he's not. He's like, he's like not part of the Zodiac, but he still transforms into a cat if he's hugged. And it's the conflict between him and
The rest of the family?
Well, him and the rest of the family. But
Mostly the rat guy.
Mostly the rat main guy, right? Who is, right? And then the girl. So you have this triangle situation going on, right? Because the girl likes the main guy more, not the super annoying cat guy.
Yeah, but she wants to be
But-
friends with the cat guy.
Right, but fairy tale wise, she's all about the cat, right? And she has
Yep.
some sort of connection to the cat in the terms of the fairy tale. But these two people who are somehow cursed, it seems like they're backwards which animal is which. So I guess there's some tension of which one is she going to end up with, if any. Are they gay? Are they going to get with each other? Right? There's a lot to chew on for the fanfic writers.
Yep. So the other thing I appreciate is that once you learn,
The
as the
shippers.
character knows,
Many
that
ships will sail.
if you hug one, if a member of the quote opposite sex hugs any of these boys, they instantly turn into
Well,
the animal.
also there are girls in the family, and if they get hugged by
A
men, presumably they would turn into the animal that they are from.
Yep.
And we're only a few episodes in. We've only met
a few characters like the dog, the
right.
rat, the cat.
So we know there's a whole zodiac, which has how many animals? 12?
12.
Yeah, there's going to be way more characters in this family.
Who's
to
the dragon?
to accommodate all the, I think that the mysterious one who is behind, you don't see them,
Yeah.
who's like behind a sheet or something, behind a door. They're like, oh, we have to go consult the person for rulings, right? And there's like a head member of the family,
Yeah.
and they talk to them like through a door. You hear the voice, but you don't see the character. And then they're like giving out the orders. I presume that that's the dragon head of family person, and they can't disobey them.
Yep. But what I appreciate is that once she learns she can do this, they get transformed constantly.
Yeah.
She even does it on purpose to stop a fight. Like, I like it when a character discovers a magic thing and just uses it all the time whenever it's practical.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the Superman thing going on because they're trying to hide it at school. And the boy got a bad reputation at school because girls asked him out, and then he wouldn't let them hug him. He would like run away, and it's not because he is a jerk. It's just because he couldn't be hugged because they
Yep.
find out they're trying to hide it, right? Like Superman trying to hide with his secret identity. And sometimes, there's that tension of, is it going to get leaked? And there's a few times where they had to transform at school because they got hugged, and by some luck, sometimes unbelievable luck, nobody saw or whatever, right? So
here's the problems with the show.
we'll see if that gets out.
The problem with the show is that it is not the year 2001, and it is in fact the year 2019. Because if Fruit Basket had never existed before and this anime just came out, what I would say about it is this is the most generic, like, basic-ass trope shoujo with non-threatening boys the world has ever seen. It is just take generic shoujo tropes, like the mysterious, like everything, stick them all together into a show, and just follow the formula.
So
But-
far, at least.
Yeah, so far at least.
I heard from people that later in the show, it gets dark.
Yeah, it's
That's
hinted
right.
at.
So-
It's definitely
so-
hinting at dark secrets in the
Yes,
family.
and because the show is not like, it's not one of those cases where like it's bad, wait till it gets good.
Yep.
It's sort of like it's aight and it supposedly gets real good. It's like maybe if I, it's not off the cue. Right?
Now, I would watch more. I enjoy watching
I'm
it.
not going to run out to watch it, but I'm also not going to run away from it because I'm not as curious as I am about Fancy Lala's dinosaurs.
Yep.
It's like right under that in terms of curiosity about what the darkness is.
That's a good place to put it. Like, I do want to know more about the deal, and I do like the characters, but it is just such
The characters
a
are
formulaic...
definitely more interesting than the characters in a lot of other anime where I don't care about them at all.
Yep. And I imagine as
Because I
more
do care about like the drama of the cat guy
Yep.
living and not being in the family.
But I like the two delinquent girls she's friends with.
And I also do.
serial killer-
Those are the best characters.
Yeah,
in the
they
show.
are, right?
Side characters always the best.
the like dark knife wielding one
Yes,
and the big
those
delinquent.
are
I like
no
them.
question the best. Like you could watch the show just for them. She has two friends at school, and we're like these super powered, awesome like outcasts. I guess they would be, if it was an American show, they would be like two goth girls or something.
Yeah.
But they're in Japanese school, so they're all wearing uniforms. But yeah, they're like dark, serious, powerful. They get picked on, but then they get revenge, and the mean popular girls run away.
Yeah, the mean popular girls are literally just an Anami squad, like straight up.
Yes, they are. Clearly, you could just put Nanami right in there. Photoshop her in. Anyway.
But yeah, like I think I might watch some more episodes. I might just like watch it at some point. Like, it's a good show I might watch as a secondary show, like whenever I'm bored.
Yeah,
and
I
don't
think
have
what
anything better
it
to
comes
watch.
down to really is how far is it going to go? If it's going to cover
23 volumes of manga that ran from 1998 to 2006.
right, that makes me more likely to watch because I know I'll get the whole deal, but
And
also
I know it ends.
but also less likely to watch because there's so many episodes.
it depends on how
if
fast
cuts
it moves
short,
along.
If it cuts short, then I'm more likely to watch because less episodes, but less likely to watch because so you got this sort of thing going on. I don't know.
Yep. It's tricky there because I've generally been not watching things like Game of Thrones. I probably won't even watch any more of until it's done.
I never watched any Game of Thrones, and I probably never will.
I really liked the first season. Like it was really good, really good. And then the end of the first season killed the only one of the only characters I liked. And then season 2 was
Which
boring.
one? Spoilers.
No, it's kind of surprising who dies actually.
Okay, the main guy.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, imagine if Cowboy Bebop episode 4 Spike's dead, and then episode 5 is just
Yeah,
the
but
rest
there's
of the
just
crew.
more characters though.
But then episode 5 is just like the
That's
rest
actually
of the crew.
it's basically a really good way to run a TV show because then
Yeah.
you can just like get rid of actors, get new ones. They're constantly going in and out. You don't have to give someone like a big long ass contract.
Yep.
You can do like a soap opera situation, right? So I mean, that's a great story for TV.
But season
Not
2
for a
is
movie where you have to pay the fancy actor $1 zillion and they're in the movie for 10 minutes.
Yep, but especially I would not have even read the first book of the Wheel of Time if it hadn't been done for a long time.
That's true.
So
I wouldn't have picked it if it hadn't been done.
Yeah. So the fact that the manga is done gives me hope that this might be a show I watch. It depends on how many episodes it will take to tell that story, and is that story thick and meaty enough to where all those episodes will be worth watching.
Yeah. It also depends. I'm going to try to find out how many episodes it takes to get to the dark stuff. If it's a long number of episodes, then I might not go.
If it's 5
But
or
if
6
if it starts getting dark at like episode 15 or less, I might be like, ooh.
Yep. But if it's going to be 20 more episodes of just the school drama and the house drama, no.
Maybe
no,
there's
no.
a way to like summarize that and skip. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a serviceable show, and now that we know the story of like why the old anime needed to be remade and they couldn't just like continue it, it does make sense that the show is being remade, and it is definitely like
So-
a very direct look at late 90s, early 2000s shoujo fandom.
Yeah, if you are a Fruits Basket fan, you're probably going to say we're wrong about a bunch of stuff, but also
Yeah.
you're probably excited about Fruits Basket, and I imagine you haven't read it or watched it in quite a while. Now you can go back into it. Good. This is great for you.
Yeah.
And if you're not a Fruits Basket fan, you never read it or watched it, it was a significant thing, this is your chance to see what the deal was. You can watch some number of episodes even if you don't watch all the episodes.
Yep. All right, good show.